Hello, everyone. My name is Saul Gowans. I'm the founder and CEO of Websand. And since it's the beginning of 2018, I thought it would be good to get the webinars launched and start talking about our favorite subjects, which are data-driven email marketing and automation. Now, this is a webinar all about email marketing planning. So if you are quite happy with your email marketing or you have zero interest in email marketing, then it's probably time to hit the stop button right now. However, if you are interested in email marketing or you are looking for an email marketing solution or you're trying to put a plan together, or even if you're just interested in this stuff, then let's carry on. So the big question is email marketing easy? Well, it used to be. But it's increasingly becoming more and more sophisticated. It probably has a little bit of a bad rap because in a lot of cases, the majority of email users are free users, so they don't really put much value on it, especially if you compare it to other things like pay-per-click, where everything you have to use is paid for. So that's probably where it gets a little bit of a bad rap. But is it easy? Not really. It's getting harder and harder. Where do we start? Well, traditional email marketing platforms such as your MailChimp, your Constant Contact, your Campaign Monitor, those types of platforms, they're based on lists. So how email marketing traditionally works is you get some data, you upload that, that's then called a list. You write a message, you send it out. Now, over time, you may then decide to create a different list. Some people will probably exist in both lists, but you regard them as a separate list. You'll write a message targeted to them. You'll send that out, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. It's a list-based approach. What it's not is a data-driven approach. Now, yes, those lists contain data, but in terms of understanding who's in what list, that can become problematic. The term that we often use is when we're converting people away from other platforms is they get lost in lists. And you'd be absolutely astonished at the amount of people that really don't understand the information that they actually hold in their email platforms. And the thing is with that is email marketing, it's a data-driven process. It's a garbage in, garbage out exercise. If you don't understand your data, then really your email marketing results are held back. You're leaving results on the table. And that's not good for anybody, really. Now, the thing you've got to remember, and people often forget this, is data comes from people. If you're a business, you're collecting data about people every day, personal data from people. Now, depending on who you are, what you do, this data is going to be totally different for different businesses. Now, if you use an email, you will know who these people are. You will have, at the very minimum, you'll have their email address. You may have their first name, you may have their company name, you may have their postal address, you may have their date of birth. You can have all kinds of information, but ultimately, geographically and demographically, you know who they are. You understand how to contact them. You'll probably also know when they signed up. So if you're importing data, that is going to be date stamped. Now, ideally, what you should also know is the date that they opted in to receive marketing messages from you. We'll come to that later. That's something that you're going to definitely have to have moving forward. What you should also have is where they signed up. Now, source of where someone originated from is absolute gold dust when it comes to being effective with your email. Well, with your marketing generally, really, it can help you understand where to focus your acquisition, where you're going to get the best results. So in terms of where you invest in your marketing channels, you can make sure that you get the best outcome possible. However, if you don't log where people originated from, you can't do that. So where people signed up is also really important stuff. Now that's more marketing side. However, when you sell stuff, you also have information within your business in terms of what people have bought. You also know how much they've spent. Now, you might not link that back to the original person from from a marketing perspective even. That's one thing that we think is you're probably missing a trick, and that's why we built what we built. But from a planning's perspective, if you link all that together, you can unlock huge amounts of potential activity that perhaps you can't access currently. You've got all the ingredients. And of course, what you also have is how people react to your marketing. You know who opens, you know who clicks, you know which emails are bounced, you know who's unsubscribed. You might just be looking at that from a campaign perspective. You may not be looking at that from a person perspective, and that's really important as well. Now, we're talking about data, we're talking about email. So GDPR is something that everybody has to consider. If you are in Europe, if you are in the UK, and we are in the UK, you'll probably be able to tell from my voice. We are based in the northeast of England, but also if you're watching this in the States or anywhere else, if you have customers, if you sell to people in Europe, this is going to impact you. So there's lots of confusion and misinformation and all manner of fuss and fun and games going on around GDPR. Now, it comes into play 25th of May. And yes, there's a lot of stuff that's still not sorted out, but one key principle remains in place, and that is it's all about personal data. The core of GDPR is allowing people to understand how their personal information is being used by businesses. Because frankly, we don't. I don't know what Facebook does with my information, for example. I don't know what Google has on me. GDPR is all about raising that awareness and allowing people to control their information, allowing them to be forgotten, allowing them to understand what information is being held by a business. So as a business person, I'm going to have to legally have a deeper understanding of what personal data I collect as a business. And also, I'm going to have policies and procedures that help me to manage that personal data and deal with subject access requests and rights to be forgotten within my business. Now that's skating over the surface really, really quickly, but I've just spoken about personal data, so it would be unprofessional of me not to mention GDPR. So that's GDPR mentioned. We've got loads of stuff on GDPR on our blog. We've got a series of webinars coming about it because we're a data-driven marketing business. If we don't understand GDPR, we will go out of business on probably May the 26th. Now, back to the people. This is all the information that you potentially hold on people. Well, if you're selling and you're marketing, you have all this information in your business. You're probably not using it in the ways that you possibly could. You're certainly probably not managing it in ways that you probably could, and you probably don't understand it in ways that you probably could. So we're going to talk about that because that's really important for your plan. The other thing to remember is people are complex. Now, we don't know how they're going to react. And even if we do understand how they're going to react, then it's not a guarantee and their behavior changes all the time. So your plans need to be able to reflect the behavior of people, be that based around consent or be that based around their actions. That's really important for your marketing plan moving forward as well. So let's take this as your audience, for example, this fabulous group of people here. Now, this might be your list. Let's say it is. It's a list lying in your email system. Actually, it's not a list. What it really contains is these people here could be your VIPs. These people here could be the people that have bought once. These people here are prospects, so they've never bought from you. And these people here, they've never engaged with you once. Now, if you understand these groups of people rather than just having a list, then that unlocks a huge amount of opportunity and different ways of engaging with your audience. Because ultimately, from an email perspective, you want to drive the best results. And the fact of the matter is email marketing becomes a lot easier when you understand your audience and you have a plan to be able to deal with that audience. And the proof's in the pudding. So typically, and this is based on huge amounts of data that we've generated, but also if you take typical industry standards, the types of reports that MailChimp publish on an annual basis, because frankly, they send a hell of a lot more email than we do at this point in time. So if you are an average list-based traditional email marketing person, then you're going to average somewhere between 18 and 25% if you are following the averages in terms of one-off list-based sends. As soon as you start segmenting that audience, then your engagement rates are going to increase. They're probably going to double. So they're probably going to go somewhere between 20 and 50%. That's because you're targeting your audience based on a certain thing. It could be they live in Germany. It could be that they bought a certain thing. It could be that it's a retention program. It might be a welcome campaign. Whatever it is, you've targeted an audience rather than going to everybody. You get better results. As soon as you start adding automation into that, then your results start to skyrocket. So you've moved from a full audience to a segmentation, and what automation does is it puts the targeting and the message in the context of the performance or the behavior of that individual. So if somebody sends a welcome campaign after somebody signed up, that's automated. Somebody signed up, they expect to receive something. So it's no surprise that the open rates on those are a lot higher than a normal email marketing campaign when someone is frankly not expecting to receive a message. So if you've got a plan based around various customer or audience behavior, then your results improve as a result. So what should we do next? Well, let's finally start planning. So it's early January when I'm recording this. It's the first week back. And I usually listen to a thing that was recorded by Seth Godin back in 2012 called Startup School. I always listen to it at the start of the year. It clears out all the cobwebs. And one of the stories that he talks about is a reference point from his hero, which is a guy called Zig Ziglar. And Zig Ziglar, when he's talking about planning, he talks about flying from Dallas or flying to Dallas from New York. And the analogy that he gives is, if I'm going to fly a plane from New York to Dallas and I get knocked slightly off course, then what do I do? Do I fly back to New York, or do I slightly adjust my course and eventually I'll end up in Dallas? Now, that's their analogy. I'm going to take that a little step further, because from an email marketing perspective, let's look at the plan of this. So if I'm going to fly from New York to Dallas, what do I need? Well, the first thing I need, I'm sitting in an office in Newcastle here. So I'm going to need a plane. I don't have a plane. So I'd need to have a plane. I also need to be able to fly that plane. So I need some training. I also then, I'm going to need some fuel. Otherwise, I can't fly the plane. I don't have anything that's going to get it off the ground otherwise. Then, provided I have a plane, I know how to fly it, and I've got fuel, I need to plan the route. So how on earth do I get from New York to Dallas? I've got no idea. I need to put a plan in place. And I also need to plan that plan in place to make sure I know how much fuel I've got. And finally, in an ideal world, I would have passengers because I need money in order to fund all this operation. So that's what I'm going to need if I'm going to fly from New York to Dallas. Now, from an email marketing perspective, let's start from scratch here. What do I need if I'm going to do email marketing? Well, I need a system. And this is where people go to first. They go, right, I need email, what am I going to use? Not anything else. So let's say you get a system for email marketing. Let's say you get Websand. Great. Next thing you need to know is, how do I use it? It's not a thing that it's not a list message send thing anymore. It's more complex than that. So you need to understand how to use it. Then you need data. You need information to import into this process or into this system in order to send messages. Guess what? You need messages. It's pointless sending blank emails. They don't contain anything. That's hardly going to drive engagement with your audience. And ideally, you need to understand how everything fits into this plan. That's your overall marketing plan. Could be a business plan, whatever it is. Email is usually part of the plan. And that's the key to this. Because actually, the right order is, you need the plan first. So once you have the plan in place, that's going to dictate what kind of system you need. When you understand what system you need, you then need to have the relevant training around how you're going to use that system, and that's going to fit in with whatever the plan is. That also is going to be in place to drive the data. So the plan is critical in terms of understanding what kind of data you need within this system. And once you have the plan in place, the right system, the understanding how to use it, and the right ingredients in place with the data, and they're all managed, then you can start writing the messages. It's much, much easier. In fact, in my understanding, and I've worked for many, many different agencies all over the world, when someone's writing a brief to generate content, it's usually based around the persona. And what people don't usually do from a data side of things is to match that persona from the data to the message that it's written for. That's one of the reasons why you only get an average of around 18 to 25% on an open rate when you send it to everybody, because a lot of the people aren't that audience. So don't start from the system, start from the plan. Put the plan in place first and then decide what system you need. The system you currently use might not be fit for purpose. Just bear that in mind. Change is always on the table. So where do we start? Obviously, when we're planning, we're looking at your audience. That's the starting point here in terms of pulling together this plan. So who is your audience? At the moment, this is how they look in your eyes. So do you know who your VIPs are? Do you know who the people are that have bought once? Do you know who your prospects are versus your customers? Can you easily identify those people that have never engaged? And if you could identify those people, what would you do about it? From a marketing planning perspective, especially when it comes down to email, it comes down to two key business questions. So if I have a prospect, how can I turn that into a customer? And if I have a customer, how can I get them to buy again? It's really that simple. And that's what your plans will be based around. So how can I get a new person to become a customer? And how can I keep a customer as a customer? It's really that straightforward. So that's the starting point on this. Now, this is not meant to be any kind of Websand demo. However, customer drop-off is a key thing. And if you're using our platform, this is the type of dashboard that you would see as you log into the system. So what this does is it tells you how your business looks from a customer perspective. How many customers you have, how many have been active, how much are they worth, who are the VIPs, who are the people that haven't bought from you for a while, all those types of things. Really valuable information that you probably don't understand at this point in time, but you have all the information for it. We help you put all that together. Now, the reason I'm putting this up there is this is pretty stereotypical of most clients that we work with. The drop-off between a customer that buys one thing and a customer that buys anything else is usually really significant. And it's usually really significant because people don't have a plan in place to deal with it. So they have a lot of focus on acquisition, less focus on retention. And you probably know all the stats. It's 5 times cheaper to retain a customer than it is to find a new one, all that good stuff, which is, it's great. It's great knowledge to have, but actually putting it into play is something totally different because you need to identify who those people are. So typically in this example, only 28% of their entire customer base have bought more than once. So think about that for a second. What if that's the same within your business right now? If we were able to move that 72% who bought once a couple of notches the other way, down to say 65%, what would be the impact in terms of sales performance within your business? I imagine that would be pretty significant. Now, that's without all the other benefits that would be attached to that. Word of mouth, positive reputation, increased engagement, all that good stuff. That all comes from offering a great service and being relevant with your marketing activity. But in order to do that, you need a plan. And part of the plan is identifying those people who've bought once. This is what we call the red carpet of acquisition. And I mentioned earlier, email gets a bit of a bad rap because it's regarded as free in a lot of cases, certainly when you're starting out. Whereas pay-per-click is something that you need to pay for. It's in the title, pay per click. Now, a lot of effort and a lot of strategy gets put into pay-per-click, and you can waste a lot of money really quickly by focusing on the wrong thing. But strategically, how does pay-per-click work? Well, what tends to happen is you have adverts that are sitting there waiting to be sprung into action as soon as someone searches for a certain term. Then what you're looking to do is to drive interest. So getting people to engage with that advert, to then go to one of your landing pages, to sign up for a newsletter, or ultimately to make a purchase. So pay-per-click in a lot of cases is just used to gather interest. Now, ultimately, you want to turn that into sales, and that depends on what your business is and how it works. So in this analogy, pay-per-click is all about gathering interest, gets people to the site, moves people along the process. Now, once they're on the site, it might be then conversion to drive sales, or it might be conversion to move them on to the next step, which might be giving away some information, an email, whatever it might be. But it's very similar to email. So if you get pay-per-click to gather the interest, then you can use email then to close the sale. As soon as you get further information from the person, that's when email can take over, and the two can work in really, really strong parallels together strategically. The other thing is, once someone has actually made a sale, then you've got more information about these people than ever before. And under GDPR, you're going to have consent in terms of being able to contact them and then move forward and nurture that relationship. Now, if you're nurturing that relationship properly and you're being respectful and the emails are relevant, targeted, then, and you get the right levels of engagement, then GDPR shouldn't be an issue for you at all moving forward, certainly not from a marketing perspective. So pay-per-click strategy is really good to drive the interest. Email can then take over to close the sale and nurture the relationship. So have a look at whatever pay-per-click plans you have in place, and then have a look at how you could apply those within your own audience. Because bear in mind, as soon as someone has given you their email address and their consent to market to you, then you have more information than you ever would from a pay-per-click perspective, because you have that about the individual. Now, and once you've got that, if you have pay-per-click strategies based around what people are searching, you have knowledge on who's bought what. So you can apply the same principles and build email programs around that. Now, as I said before, obviously consent's a big thing within this, and the majority of email programs, pretty much every email system has opt-in requirements built in as part of the important process. So the onus is on yourselves as responsible data controllers to make sure you drive consent. So that's just so everyone's absolutely clear. Now, our approach when it comes to planning is really simple. There are huge amounts of different ways that you can slice and dice information, all the information that you have within your business. So what we say is always start simple. As I said before, ultimately what you're looking to do is drive a prospect to a customer or keep a customer as a customer. So start with a maximum of 3 objectives and set timeframes for the outcome. And what we say, it's as simple as this. So for each of these 3 objectives, what you want to do is set what the objective is, define who the audience are related to that objective. Then as soon as you understand that, then what is the message that you need to send them to move them on to the outcome that you want to achieve. So in this example, my objective is I want to convert prospects. My audience are new signups. I'm going to give them a welcome offer, and my outcome is going to be I want to receive it. I want to understand, or I want to get to a 10% conversion rate in the next 6 months. Always put a time frame on this. So then I can go back and I can make an assessment as to what's working, what isn't. This is when the Zig Ziglar thing kicks back in. So if I'm only at 8%, then perhaps I need to look at the time period between when somebody signs up and when I send a message. Am I being too aggressive? Is the offer right? That's when you can start to put some testing in. Now, obviously, if after 6 months I'm at 15% conversion, it's working fine. It's working in terms of my expectations. So I'll then check in 6 months later, or I might decide, actually, I want to keep at 15%, and I'll check it again in 6 months. So you've got to give these things a little bit of time to make sure you have enough information to gather on what's really working and what isn't. But keep it simple to start with, because bear in mind, As soon as you've got one that's really working, then you can leave and you can move on to the next one. Before you know it, you've got 6 or 7 different processes that are going on that are working for you and that are adding extra value. Now, I mentioned process before, and a key part of this in terms of understanding and managing the data is you're going to need a data flow. Now, that's absolutely critical. So the way that we do it is we like to help people to build what we call marketing processes. And one of the strange things within business, most businesses, they have a process for everything, but when it comes to email marketing, it's a simple campaign-driven thing. Let's send out the next email newsletter. Let's send a calendar email every month, whatever it might be. That's not a process. It's a thing on a chart. Whereas you're collecting data every day. So you're going to have, well, under GDPR, you're going to have a process to deal with that anyway. So what we do is you have an audience that gives you data. Within our platform, we help you process it, segment it, design the messages, and schedule when those messages need to go out. So that can be, this could be automations or just normal sends. Obviously, all in line whatever your plan is. So let's say if it's a welcome message, to go back to the earlier one, converting prospects. So data comes in, somebody signs up, we process that information, maybe weed out people that have opted in versus people that haven't given consent and drop that data. Segment those based upon maybe where they've signed up. So if someone signed up from a web page as opposed to a different landing page, we may well have 2 different messages that we want to send out to those, so they'd be segmented. Then that message would then be picked up and scheduled, and the message would be then automatically issued out back to that person that signed up. So that would be an automation process. Now, as soon as they react to that message, we collect more data. We then process it. That might change the segmentation around that person. So if they then bought something, we'd have the data that says that they purchased something. So we'd move them out of that segmentation or that welcome segment and maybe move them into a customer with the first purchase segment. Again, then we've got a message. And let's say if we've got another campaign, which is someone hasn't bought in 42 days, for example, then on the 43rd day, if they still haven't bought, then a message will be sent out to them. That will then give us more data, and you can see you get a process moving. You've got a flow of data. What you also have is you have a live marketing program, marketing processes that are in action based around your plan. So data flow is really, really important. Now, in terms of connecting this, we have an open API, so it's very easy if you've got your own systems to connect to us. It's an API that's built around GDPR compliance. So we need to make sure that you collect the right opt-ins as part of that process. We have integrations with Eventbrite, with Zapier, with Physical, Visualsoft, SendGrid. We've got a whole suite more coming along the lines. But what we found is, especially through things like Zapier, that allows us to cover off a huge number of different platforms that we can connect to. So integrations and connecting with your business systems is not really an issue. It needn't take a huge amount of time. It's really straightforward to set up, and we can help you with those if that's something that you want to do. Another thing to say is Websand, although we're talking about planning here, we're built for data-driven marketing. And obviously, once you've got your plan in place, you need to pick the right system. So our background, certainly my background, is building loyalty programs for large businesses. So one thing that we've made sure with Websand is we don't know what your data looks like until you put the data into the system. So it's a system that fits around your data. So you don't need to change the way that you work. We make sure that the platform fits around how you operate. Now, usually that's built around business systems. So this is not saying that you need a huge setup or anything like that. You don't. You can do it yourself within 5-10 minutes. All you need to do is import the information, and the system builds around your information. It's as simple as that. The tools within the platform allow you to set up a data-driven email program really, really quickly and really easily. So the platform has enough sophistication, especially within the segmentation section, to allow you to get started really quickly and really easily. So if you schedule the demo, for example, it would take us 10, 15 minutes to show you absolutely everything within the platform. So it's simple enough for you to get started and for you to use and start to put your plans in action in minutes. It's not something you need to go on a 3-day training course for, watch 700 videos. It's really straightforward. The complexity is in your business, is in your data, not necessarily within our platform. That's when it gets fun. So that's why your plan is so important. In terms of proof, so we've been going for a few years now, and we're starting to build more and more testimonials. People saying nice things. So the Lakes Distillery have said that we're the best email editor they've ever used. Lindsay at Campus North has called us. She said we'd be nothing short than revolutionary, which is very nice. And Heather at Sharrow says that we work wonders with their database. So we're building up an increasing number of bigger clients that are taking action and moving their email marketing to the next level using our platform. Now, in terms of getting started, you may have a plan in place, or you may need help to put a plan in place. So there's two types of people in this world. There's people that want to do it themselves, and there's people that want to get people in. So if you want to do it yourself, absolutely fine. Come and join us. We've got a 14-day free trial waiting for you at websandhq.com/14-day free trial. Or if you want to get in touch, perhaps you're an agency, you want to work closer with us, whatever it is, get in touch. Let's talk. Schedule a demo. We're always looking for new partners to work with, new integrations to build. People that just want to get better with their email, really. So schedule a demo with us at calendly.com/websand. That will access our calendars, and you can book half an hour, whatever you need, really, and let's have a conversation. So those are your do-it-yourself people, your DIY people. If you need help, if you need to get someone in, perhaps you're a one-man marketing team, you've got a lot to do. You can't be brilliant at everything. And there are only so many hours in the day. So if you need, and I also know email can be damn stressful. So there's no need to worry about it. We can help. So we can help you from a planning perspective. We can manage the process for you. Whatever help you need, we can help you. So if that's something that you need help with, please get in touch. You can sign up for that part of things at websandhq.com, manage my email, and we can help you pull that plan together and escalate your email to the next level. It's entirely up to you which way you want to go, or if you don't want to use us at all, again, that's absolutely fine. If you want help with planning, let us know. So in terms of takeaways, first thing, in the year of GDPR, especially, you need a plan in place. You need a plan for your marketing. You need a plan for your data. That's another thing people miss. Data planning is a key part of digital marketing and making sure you get everything right. As part of your planning for everything, focus on the people. GDPR, again, is going to have a legal requirement that you're able to understand people on a personal level. So put your focus on people rather than lists. It's really, really important. And we wish you well. Save your email marketing. If we can help, we're more than happy to do so. Get in touch. Let's have a conversation. More to follow. We're going to be more active than ever all around the country and beyond. So if we can help, get in touch. If not, let us know what you think. And take care. Thank you. Bye.